Filming this thumbnail is going to be so difficult, but we will try. Okay. I have a book buying problem. Clearly. Oh my god. Ah! No. Okay. Okay, I got this. I got this. No, I don't got this. Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and I have a book buying problem. So, over this past year, I have been in a massive reading slump, but that hasn't stopped me from buying a lot of books. And so today I thought that I would show you guys some of the books that I have bought that I am very excited about reading now that I've sort of started reading again and gotten back into my flow, my reading flow, whatever that is. But now that I'm reading again, I'm excited to dive into these books, and that is what I want to do with this video, is show you the books that I am excited about reading. So I'm going to stop talking now and get started with this video. Okay, so first up I have these parcels from Amazon. I think I know what these are. Grabbing my scissors, I had ordered a few books because I have like this video idea that I want to do, and I think these are those books that I had ordered. So let's see. This one is, yes, this one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. So basically the video idea that I have is to read the most hyped books of 2023 to see if I like them or not, and one of them was this one, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So yes, excited to read this for that video, and also excited to dive into this because like I love fantasy, I love fairies, so let's see if this book lives up to the hype or not. Next up, this is so strange to like cut this for the camera because I'm so scared that I'm gonna like harm the book, but oh, this is a book that I have been really excited to read. I'm so happy it's here. The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I saw Peruse Project talk about this on her channel, and she's someone whose fantasy book recommendations I completely like believe in, because I feel like her taste in fantasy and my taste in fantasy is kind of similar. And so yeah, I ordered this book because of that, and I am so excited to read this. I think this is probably gonna be my next read. And then we have these. Yes, I think these are also for that video that I have planned. Yes! Okay, so we have Happy Place by Emily Henry, Yellow Face by R.F. Kuang, and Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I won't talk about these books much because, like I said, I'm making a dedicated video for these, so I am very excited to read them for that. Okay, moving on, I want to show you guys some books by Indian authors. Now the thing is, before I moved back to India, I lived in Singapore and then in Indonesia for a while. And in both places, I couldn't find physical books by Indian authors. Like they just didn't sell them in the bookstores. And so all of the Indian books that I read were usually over Kindle. But now that I'm back in India, I am so excited because I can actually buy physical copies of these books. And I want to show you some of my like most anticipated ones that I am dying to read. So let's dive in. The first book that I want to talk about is Zen by Shabnam Minwala. Now I picked this book up at the Tata Lit Fest, which took place in October in Bombay. And Shabnam Minwala was part of the festival, so I attended one of her talks as well. And basically what this book is about is it's the life of two women named Zainab. One who lives in 1935 and wants to be a part of the Indian independence movement, and the other lives in 2019 And what it says over here is that she's a grade 11 student who is unhappy at getting drawn into debates and controversies. So it seems like there are two opposite Zainabs, one who wants to be involved in the political spectrum and like things which are happening in the country, and another Zainab who doesn't want to. And so through the lives of these two Zainabs, we basically get to see the evolution of Bombay and basically the history of Bombay, and we also get to understand the lives of these two women who are very opposite to each other, I guess. And it just sounds so interesting. I recently read a book called Bombay Balchao by Jane Borges, which also has anecdotes of like the history of Bombay woven into the story of the characters, and I really enjoyed that aspect of that book, and so I'm excited to see how it happens in this one. The next book that I want to show you guys is The 20th Wife by Indu Sundaresan. Now, I owned this book on Kindle, like I have a version of it on Kindle, but I really wanted a physical copy of this because like this just looks so beautiful. This is basically a historical fiction book about the life of Meherunisa, who is, I believe, Jahangir's wife, if I'm not mistaken. Who is she married to? Meherunisa first encounters Prince Salim. I think Prince Salim and Jahangir are the same, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, it's set in the time of the Mughal Empire, and it talks about one of its princesses. Honestly, I've always been intrigued by the Mughal Empire, especially after watching Jodha Akbar. And so I feel like this book will give us a glimpse into this world, and I think like reading books really transports you to that era, and I'm hoping that Indu Sundaresan's writing is like that, and so I'm quite excited to dive into this. The next book that I want to talk about is Tomb of Sand by Geetanjali Shree. Now this book was gifted to me by my lovely friend Smriti from Santreeds. She actually gave this to me for my birthday, and this book is, I think, one of the only Indian translated books that has won the Booker Prize. And so I'm quite excited to read it. What this book is about is that it basically follows this 80-year-old grandmother who wants to travel back to Pakistan to come to terms with the trauma that she faced during partition. So what I've heard is that this is supposed to be a very emotional and thought-provoking and stimulating read. It's quite a chunky read, so it's a bit intimidating, but yes, I will get to this soon. The next book is A Dust Storm in Delhi by Meena Arora Nayak. Now, I randomly picked this book up off the shelf from one of my favorite bookstores in Bombay right now. And the reason why I picked it up is because this is supposed to tell the story of the only woman emperor to have ruled from the throne in Delhi. So it's about Sultan Raziat and I guess her tale of coming to power as the ruler of India, I guess, in the past. I'm not really sure exactly what this book is about, and I've honestly not heard of Sultan Raziat. I've not heard of a woman emperor in India. So yeah, I'm intrigued to like find out more about this time in history and how this came to be, because I honestly know nothing about it. So that sounds really interesting. It sounds like a very feminist historical fiction kind of book, and I'm super duper intrigued. The next book is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. This is, I think, one of the most hyped literary fiction books written by an Indian author to be published out there right now, and I still haven't read it. So yeah, I am really excited to dive right in. I honestly don't know what this book is about, apart from the fact that it's set in Kerala, and that's about it. That's all I know about it. And so yes, I'm excited to dive in. I want to see what the hype is about, and I'm probably going to vlog this experience so you guys can expect a video of me reading this book with all of my thoughts and reactions. The next book is Latitudes of Longing by Shubhangi Swaroop. Now, I did a video a couple of years ago, or last year, I can't remember when, where I asked all of you guys, my subscribers, to send in their recommendations, like their Indian book recommendations, and then I compiled it all and I released a video. I linked it up here if you guys want to check it out. But one of you, or a few of you, actually mentioned this book, Latitudes of Longing, and ever since then I've been intrigued about it. again, I don't really know what this book is about, but all I know is that it's supposed to have very beautiful lyrical writing. Yeah, like it says, it's intense, lyrical, and powerful. It's the winner of a Tata Literature Life First Book Award, apparently. Yeah, and I kind of want to go into this book blind. Like, I don't want to know more about it, but it seems very, very interesting. I love the cover. It's so pretty. Like I said, I really don't know much about it, but I'm intrigued. Okay, the next few books that I want to show you guys are books that I'm just like super duper hyped about. They have been on my TBR for a while, and I cannot wait to dive in. The first one is The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is the next installment in the Shades of Magic series now. It's no longer a trilogy, and it basically picks up 7 years after the last Shades of Magic book. And again, it follows Lila and Kel and Rai, and who's the guy? Alucard, Rai's lover. Sorry, spoiler. Shit. Sorry, spoiler. Oh my god, spoiler alert. Yes. I will bleep the spoiler out. Wow, I'm really excited to read this book, obviously. Again, I don't know much about it and I don't care to know much about it. I just know it follows these characters whom I absolutely adore. If you haven't read the Shades of Magic trilogy, please read it. It is such an engaging fantasy series about these like parallel universe Londons and the abilities of a few magicians to be able to traverse those Londons, and what happens when the walls between these Londons seem to start crumbling. And so we go back to this world, that world in this book, and yeah, I'm just very, very, very hyped. I need to read this now. The next book is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This has also been on my TBR for a while. This is supposed to be a really dark and heartbreaking book, which is kind of like a retelling of Lolita. Now, if you guys don't know, Lolita is a Russian classic, and it talks about the very, very toxic and inappropriate and illegal relationship between, I believe, a 16-year-old girl and like a 40-year-old man. And so that is essentially what this book is about. But unlike Lolita, which kind of romanticizes that relationship, this book calls it out for what it is, which is pedophilia. And that is why this book is supposed to be very difficult to get through. It talks a lot about sexual grooming and just the trauma associated with such a relationship. And so, yeah, it's supposed to be very hard-hitting. It's supposed to be very difficult to get through, but also beautifully written. And so, yeah, I'm excited to read this. The next one that I'm super excited about is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Last year I read If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and ever since then I've been very intrigued with the whole genre of dark academia. And so this one is supposed to be one of the most famous dark academia books of like recent times, and so I cannot wait to dive in. This is set in Oxford, and I guess it's supposed to follow like a bunch of translators or something who are in Oxford, but it's supposed to basically talk about like the immigrant experience as well. And yeah, I don't know much about it. I just know it's dark academia. I know it's R.F. Kuang, who is a brilliant writer. I love her Poppy War series, and so yes, I am excited to dive into this one. And the next one is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. This is a retelling of the Ramayana from Kaikeyi's point of view, and again, I am very, very, very excited to read this book. Kaikeyi is kind of like the villain in the Ramayana, and I feel like we never get to hear her point of view. We never get to hear like anything beyond the fact that she's a very scheming and malicious woman and the one who basically banishes Ram into the forest, and she's just like a villain. She's portrayed as a villain. And so I guess for the first time, this is a book that gives her a voice, that allows her to tell her story. And yeah, I guess we get to see like a glimpse of why she did the things she did. And I think it follows her entire life from when she's like a little girl up until the events of the Ramayana. And so very intrigued. I love like villain backstories, or like I love to see like the point of view of a villain to understand that character a little bit more. And so extremely, extremely excited to read this one. And the last set of books are just books that I picked up because I thought they were super duper interesting, basically. The first of this is Heartless by Melissa Mayer, and this is basically the retelling of Alice in Wonderland, but from the Queen of Hearts point of view. Like Kaikei, again, this is a villain origin story. Like I just mentioned, I love reading a classic fairy tale from the villain's point of view. And again, I feel like Queen of Hearts is a character we know next to nothing about. I think it's just Alice and the Cheshire Cat and the Mad Hatter that we kind of know things about, but the Queen of Hearts is just, yeah, like I don't really know much about her except the image that's coming in my head right now is Helena Bonham Carter in like the live action adaptation of Alice. But yeah, that's the only image I have in my mind. And so I'm really intrigued to read about this classic fairy tale from this villain's point of view. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a love story if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, very, very, very excited and intrigued. The next one we have is Anthropocene Reviewed, The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. This is John Green's non-fiction book. I think it's his first and only non-fiction book if I'm not mistaken. I've loved John Green's fiction work. They are books that I grew up with when I was like 18, 19, 20 years old. And so since then I've not really read a John Green book, and he published this one. And so I guess it was just like solidarity, like support John Green, kind of an emotion that took over me when I decided to buy this one. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I think John Green is a pretty good author, and so I'm excited to see how his non-fiction stuff is. The next book is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Now, this was a gift again by my lovely friend Shibani from The Curly Bookworm. She bought this for me for my birthday again. And basically what she told me about this book is that this is the perfect book to get you out of a reading slump. It is a thriller, and it's supposed to be very fast-paced, and it's supposed to be unputdownable. That's all I know about this, and that's all I need to know because like I've been in a reading slump for so long, so I'm looking for really like fast-paced, unputdownable books. And so yes, thank you Shibani first of all for this book. I cannot wait to read it. Next up we have Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This is supposed to be one of the most famous Octavia Butler books, and it is a historical fiction book with a sci-fi element to it. Now, this is set pre-American Civil War when slavery was still around in the US, and it follows our character Dana, who from 1976 finds herself transported back into time to 1815. And now Dana is an African American woman, and so when she travels back to 1815, she finds herself going from a time period where she's a free woman to a time period when she is basically deemed as a slave. And I think it's like her life is tied to the life of this white man in 1815. And basically, like there are multiple times where Dana keeps traveling back and forth in time, and each time she goes back, she arrives at a point in time where this white man's life is in danger. So I guess through the book we sort of figure out why these lives are intertwined, and it's supposed to give a very good depiction of like how life was for a slave during pre-Civil War America, like in the 1800s. And yeah, I've heard it's supposed to be very hard-hitting, talks about some really important subjects, and it has a really cool element of sci-fi to it. And the last book that I want to talk about is The Dance Tree by Kiran Millwood Hargrave. Now, I've read her previous book, which is Mercies, and this book intrigued me because it is set in 1518 in Strasbourg in France, where a very strange phenomenon happened where a lot of women, or like a bunch of people in the town, danced and couldn't stop dancing for I don't know how many days. Like they danced for like 2 weeks or something, or they couldn't stop dancing. I don't know. It's a very strange phenomenon in history. Google it. It actually happened where a bunch of people from a town just like got into this like mass hysteria and basically danced for a bunch of days non-stop in a small town in France. And this book is based on that phenomenon and like what led to it. And basically I think it's like a lot of the people in the town blamed it on witchcraft, and because of that the life of one woman was turned kind of upside down because of this phenomenon. And so yeah, because that phenomenon in history is so weird and strange and interesting, I just had to pick up this book and see what it was about. So yeah, quite excited to read this one as well. So yes, these were all the books that I bought. I think there are about 20 of them that I shared with you guys in this video. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it and it's given you maybe a few recommendations of what you guys can pick up for your next read as well. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big fat thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of these books and what you think about them. Let me know, because like I said, I'm very excited to read all of them. But if you guys have any insights, then let me know down in the comments below. And of course, do subscribe to my channel for more book related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.